After weeks of sleeping outside, a princess stopped her carriage for the young boy, wondering if he had a place to sleep for the night. He had spent months adventuring with his friends, but when an earth dragon erupted from the ground, Tatsumi slashed its arm off before diving down, killing the dragon in that instant. But his friends had mysteriously disappeared. Even inside the capital, there was no trace of them wherever he looked. But when a hot girl convinced him that she knew where they were, he had two massive reasons to believe her. She seduced him into giving her his life savings, telling him that she would return with their location. And the dumbass moron waited all night for her to return. But she never did. So without any other choice, he decided to accept Aria's offer and went back to her mansion, but had no idea about the dark secrets her family were hiding away. While Aria's hot MILF mom was walking back to her room, a sword slashed her in half, and Tatsumi sensed the murderous intent from the assassin outside. So when he got out of his room, remembering the wanted posters of the noble family killers, he saw them before his eyes. Just then, guards began rushing outside, so Akame dropped to the ground to face them, rushing to slash one of their throats, while Bullet pierced another one with his spear. Seeing his subordinates dead, the last guy ran for his life, but Mina shot him in the middle of his head. With the guards wiped out in an instant, Tatsumi ran to protect Aria, while Leon choked the girl's father out of existence and broke his neck. A guard was running to the storehouse with Aria, and Tatsumi arrived at her location, but Akame was quick to respond and stopped them from going inside. Tatsumi got into a battle stance, but she ignored him and used his head as a trampoline to kill the guard, who was raining bullets at her. As she was about to finish Aria off, Tatsumi stopped her, and Akame gave him the chance to leave since he wasn't the target. However, she wouldn't hesitate to kill him if he got in her way, but Tatsumi ignored her threat and rushed at her. He swung his sword aimlessly, and Akame jumped in the air to dodge his attack before stabbing his chest with her sword. However, a good luck charm given to him by his friends blocked her sword, and when he saw Akame approaching him again, he asked her why she was trying to kill an innocent girl. She ignored his question and was about to decapitate him, but Leon stopped her at the last second, and destroying the door of the storeroom, she asked Tatsumi to see the atrocities committed by the girl he just called innocent. The room was filled with corpses that Aria's family tortured, and Leon revealed that they would lure dumbasses like Tatsumi into their home and use them as their playthings by torturing them until they would die because of their injuries. Seo's body was hanging in the storeroom with other corpses, and Tatsumi saw Iyasu in a prison cell, who told him that Aria invited them to their house and tortured Seo to death. His body was covered in wounds as well, and despite her atrocities being revealed, Aria still felt no remorse for her horrifying deeds. She thought that people from the village were just like cattle that nobles like her could treat as animals and do whatever they wanted to them. When Akame was about to end her miserable life, Tatsumi stopped her and ended up killing her himself. Seeing his friend kill their captive, Iyasu felt relieved and started puking blood. He was just holding out until now in the hope that someone would take revenge for him, and when that happened, he couldn't hold out anymore and died in Tatsumi's arms. Akame was about to leave, but Leon didn't want to leave Tatsumi behind, so she dragged him by his hair and told her allies that he was one of them from now on. He tried to retaliate, but Akame told him that nobody could sway Leon once she made her decision, so Bullet grabbed him and took him to their hideout. The following morning, he sat by the graves of his friends, wondering if there was any meaning to his adventure. But Leon popped up out of nowhere to ask if he had decided to join them. When he said that he didn't, Leon took him to Shiel and asked her to say something encouraging, so she threatened him to join the night raid, or she would cut off his Asian persuasion. As he was cowering in fear, Mina arrived in the room and wanted Leon to explain her reason to let him come inside their hideout, so Leon told her that Tatsumi was one of them now. After Mina made a mockery of him, Leona took him to the training ground where he saw Bullet training by himself. He couldn't recognize him, so Bullet revealed that he was the one wearing the armor, and when he shook his hands with him, Leona warned him that Bullet was gay, and Tatsumi got scared thinking that his chastity was at risk. After meeting with Lubbock, who was trying to peep at girls, Leon took him to meet Akame, who was eating the meat of a high-ranked monster that she had killed. She tossed a piece of meat toward Leon, but didn't give any to Tatsumi since he wasn't a part of their group. Their leader Negenda was sitting beside her as well, and when she asked Leon why she was slacking off, she tried to run, but Negenda pulled her back with her prosthetic arm, and after asking Leon about Tatsumi, she ordered them to bring everyone for a meeting. After learning his story, Neigenda also invited Tatsumi to join the night raid, and told him that he wouldn't be killed even if he decided to not join them, although he would still have to stay there, as he knew about their secret hideout. Tatsumi was supposed to come to the Imperial Kingdom and make money to help his village out of poverty. But the capital was filled with corrupted and malicious people, so Bulette recommended Tatsumi to do something about those corrupted people by joining the night raid, and Neigenda told him that her squad might be the best fit for him. After all, they were an anti-imperial force created by the Revolutionary Army to seek out corrupted people and eliminate their injustice. Seeing that they were trying to make the imperial castle a better place for its citizens, Tatsumi thought that they were the seekers of justice. However, they laughed at him, reminding him that they were just murderers in the end, even though the people they killed were corrupted. Even so, Tatsumi wanted to join them, since he realized they would pay him as well, and Neigenda congratulated him. She instructed Akame to help Tatsumi with his training, but for the next few days, he just made delicious food for everyone, since he was the only one who knew how to cook. The rest of the members except Leona were about to go on an emergency assignment, and Mina told Tatsumi that the only blade he can wield is the kitchen knife, because he was a woman. Afterward, Akame took Tatsumi to catch some fishes, and after making his Excalibur unsheathe by removing her plot armor, she jumped in the lake. She tossed fish in a basket by catching them with her bare hands, and instructed Tatsumi to remain absolutely still to catch his prey. However, in the end, he was able to catch only 2 fishes. Sitting at the table with them, Leon presented Neigenda with the sketches of their next 2 targets, Ogre and Jamal, who were extremely corrupt, but framed the poor to get away with their wrong activities. Neigenda immediately accepted the case, as she hated scum like them, and Leona told her that Ogre would be a formidable opponent, who always traveled with a group of soldiers and had good swordsmanship skills at his disposal. Since the others weren't present, Tatsumi wanted to go on this job. But unlike the other 2 who motivated him, Akame felt that killing Ogre was beyond him, as she believed that he didn't have the resolve to kill someone without hesitation. But Tatsumi was sure of himself, and eventually went to the area the Ogre was usually found at. Since Akame was a little rough with him, Leon told Tatsumi about her past, saying that she and her sister Kirome were bought by the Empire, and was forced into an assassin training program. She managed to emerge as an assassin, who worked at the bidding of the Empire. But when she carried out her missions, she realized the Empire's true nature, and Neigenda was able to make her join the Revolutionary Army, where she lost a lot of her allies. Afterward, Akame and Leon covertly took down Jamal, and at the same time, Tatsumi begged Ogre to hear his plea in a private place. When they went away from the public, he begged him to recruit him into the Imperial Army, but Ogre ignored him and started heading back. However, when Tatsumi grabbed his sword, Ogre sensed his murderous intent and attacked him. But Tatsumi came out on top because of his speed and slashed his guts. He thought that he had defeated Ogre and turned away, but Ogre caught him off guard and started overwhelming him with strikes before slamming him against a wall. Jumping in the air, Tatsumi attacked him with an overhead strike, but Ogre blocked him and counter-attacked so hard that the ground beneath them was destroyed. Thinking that he was about to win the fight, Ogre started bragging about the people he wrongfully got arrested. But the confession made Tatsumi pissed beyond oblivion, and he sliced off both of his arms before cutting him into little pieces. Having completed his task, he went back to the hideout, and after Neigenda praised him, he bragged to Akame about not receiving a single scratch. Out of nowhere, she took off his clothes, but the little bitch screamed as if he was a girl, and wondered why she was looking over his body. However, she was glad that he wasn't harmed, and told him that he did well. He apologized to her, but she didn't want him to apologize, and just wanted him to keep coming back alive. With his training with Akame completed, Tatsumi was assigned to Mina, but wondered why it had to be that annoying bitch out of all of them. The following day, Tatsumi and others went to kill intruders that had managed to sniff out their hideout. While searching for them, Bulette wore his armor Incursio, and Tatsumi was shocked to see that Incursio existed in the world. Meanwhile, Akame ran into a trio of assassins, and as they were babbling about how they would chop her to pieces, Akame killed 2 of them in an instant by slitting their throats. But as the last guy thought he survived, a curse activated that ended his life, as it was the special ability from her one-slice kill katana. Another assassin tried to run for his life with information about the night raid, and Mina pointed her huge railgun at him. However, she was ambushed by an assassin, but Shield covered her back by slicing the guy in half with huge scissors, allowing Mina to evaporate the last guy out of existence. At the same time, Leon had beaten another assassin to death, and Lubbock had captured a hottie in her wires. She offered to let him do whatever he wanted to her body, and abiding by her offer, Lubbock pierced her whole body with his wires. While Tatsumi defeated one assassin by slashing his chest, 6 other assassins jumped at Bulat at the same time, but he turned them all into minced meat before they could even react. With all the assassins dead, they got together, and Bulat praised Tatsumi for surviving. So that night, he promised himself to make the world a better place and continue living for the sake of his friends. The next day, he waited for Mina to wake up, and Shield told him that Mina struggled to get off the bed by herself. She was about to go wake her up, but Neigenda stopped her, as it was Tatsumi's job since he was her subordinate now. Mina almost killed him with her railgun, and after calling him the progenitor of horniness, she went all out to teach him a lesson. Later that day, he went to the capital with Mina because Neigenda advised him to learn from her, and they ended up confronting 2 disgusting runts who were bullying a little refugee. As their punishment, Tatsumi sliced off their pants, and when the little girl thanked them for saving her, Mina advised her to get strong so she could protect herself next time. Afterward, they shopped all over the capital, and when they went to a restaurant for a nice old British tea, Tatsumi complained that all they did was shopping, so Mina beat the absolute living fuck out of him. Suddenly, they heard a commotion and saw a bunch of people crucified on crosses for public execution. Their punishment was given to them by the child emperor, who was secretly being controlled by Prime Minister Honest. In his royal chamber, the emperor ordered an official to be quartered by bulls for speaking against his policies. He did that under Honest's orders, and the man tried to tell the emperor that the glutton fat ass was deceiving him. But the emperor trusted the prime minister completely. As if giving him a death sentence wasn't enough, Honest told the man that he would take care of his beautiful wife in every possible way after his death sentence, and the man begged for someone to deliver justice to that demon. That night, everyone in the night raid set out to kill the right-hand man of Honest, whose name was Ayakal, as he used the prime minister's name to abduct women. While everyone moved towards his mansion, Mina was a good distance away, and Tatsumi, who was with Mina as her escort, asked her about her weapon. Her railgun was an imperial relic that could get stronger based on how dangerous it was for its user, and she pointed that toward the mansion. However, when Ayakal came into her line of sight, he was surrounded by a lot of women, and Tatsumi wondered how she was going to assassinate him amidst all that crowd. To his surprise, Mina shot him cleanly in the middle of his head, and told Tatsumi that it was regular work for a master assassin like her. With Ayakal dead, his guards rushed to find out his killer, but they ran into the rest of the members of the night raid. They killed the 4 guards with no issue, but Akame felt something was off, as there were supposed to be 5 guards. The last guard stealthily attacked Mina, and Tatsumi had to put himself in harm's way to rescue her. The guard used to be a martial arts instructor, and dodging the bullets from Mina's railgun, he closed his distance with her, and Tatsumi tried to slice his head in 2 with his sword in an attempt to get him off Mina. However, when the guard grabbed his sword mid-air with his hands, Tatsumi grabbed him and told Mina to shoot him, saying that he trusted her sniper skills. As the guard wildly attacked Tatsumi to free himself, Mina charged her railgun and created a hole in his chest. Tatsumi's perfect hairstyle was ruined by her railgun, and he smacked Mina on the head for saying she was a master sniper. The entirety of the night raid soon regrouped, and at the same time, Zank the Executioner wreaked havoc in the city by decapitating 2 guards before focusing his attention on a couple. After he decapitated the woman's husband, she begged him to spare her life, but Zank told her that it was her own fault for walking so late at night, and separated her head from her body. At the hideout the next day, Tatsumi practiced with a greatsword to build muscle strength until he couldn't move his arms anymore, and Bulat told him that he was wasting his strength by moving unnecessarily. That night, Neigenda gathered everyone and informed them about a serial killer who prowled at night and beheaded everyone he would come across. Lubbock was quick to guess that it was Zank, and when Tatsumi asked about him, Mina revealed that he used to work at the largest prison in the capital. After gaining a lot of power, the Prime Minister would send more and more people to be executed, and after beheading the prisoners for years, he developed a taste for it and went crazy. Tatsumi immediately wanted to go and stop him, but Bulat told him that Zank stole the warden's imperial relic before fleeing the prison, so he advised him to stick together with others. Since everyone he knew had an imperial relic, Tatsumi asked about them, and Neigenda told him that the first emperor wanted to protect his empire forever. So materials from calamity-ranked monsters and precious ores were collected, and the best smiths and craftsmen were summoned from around the world to create 48 imperial relics that couldn't be recreated even to this day. However, in the Great Civil War 500 years ago, half of the relics were lost, and were dispersed around the land. Akame had the one-cut killer Murasama that injected a deadly poison whenever it would cut a person's skin, and there was no antidote for it. Leon's imperial arm allowed her to transform into a beast with great physical strength, and Mina's railgun was powered by the user's fighting spirit, and the more danger the wielder was in, the higher its destructive power would be. The demonic armor in Curcio was in Bulat's possession, and it provided impregnable defense, but it exerted a lot of stress on its user and killed those it deemed unworthy. Lubbock had the cross-tail imperial arm that could spread out wires to detect enemy and defeat them, while Shield had the extase scissors that could cut through anything and could be used as a shield. However, the drawback to having a relic was that when two relic wielders would fight against each other, one was bound to die. With the explanation over, the group went outside to hunt for Zank, and Akame saved Tatsumi from guards, who were patrolling the city in search of the serial killer. While walking together, Tatsumi asked about the drawbacks of her sword, and learned that it was quite a hassle to take care of it, as even a single nick on the finger would kill her. Standing on top of a tall building, Zank observed the members of the night raid from a safe distance, and set his eyes on Tatsumi. After enjoying a drink with Akame, Tatsumi went to take a leak in an alley, and seeing Seo, he ran after her to a huge empty ground. Excited that she was still alive, he hugged her, but Zank wondered if he was going to say no homo for hugging a man, and used his imperial arm to turn himself into someone dear to Tatsumi. Pissed at him, Tatsumi unsheathed his sword, but was caught off guard when he learned that Zank could read his mind using his imperial arm. When Tatsumi charged at him, Zank already knew how he was going to strike, and dodged his attacks with ease. Using that to his advantage, he sliced Tatsumi in the guts with his assassin blade, and felt amused seeing the expression of fear on Tatsumi's face. However, Tatsumi collected himself, and started to attack Zank again. But just like before, he read his mind, and covered Tatsumi's whole body with cuts with a flurry of slashes. Zank wanted him to beg for his life, and call for his friends, as seeing his prey beg turned him on. But Tatsumi refused to beg for his life to an ugly, overgrown rat like him. With no other option, he risked his life on a single attack, and charged at Zank with all his might. Although Tatsumi managed to graze his face, he received a big cut on his back in return. Pissed that a runt like Tatsumi scratched him, Zank charged toward him in anger, but Akame blocked him with her sword, glad that Tatsumi defeated his opponent psychologically. However, Zank used his X-ray vision to see Akame's plot with his imperial relic, and when Akame lunged toward Zank, the two started trading blows with each other until she pushed him back with a kick. Knowing that he could read her mind, Akame emptied her mind of thoughts, but Zank could still see the future, and was able to see how she would attack. He managed to graze Akame's thick thigh, and asked if she heard voices in her head of the people she killed, who would tell her to join them in hell. Zank was plagued by these voices because of the uncountable people he had beheaded in prison. But when Akame said that she had never heard any voices, he got pissed, and summoned the hallucination of her sister Kuro. Thinking that she wouldn't attack her own sister, Zank rushed toward Akame, but she slashed her sister with no hesitation, and Zank wondered how cold she could be. So he threw all he had towards her, and they engaged in a battle of attrition until Akame broke his assassin blades, and slit his throat. Moments away from death, the voices in Zank's head stopped haunting him, and he thanked Akame for freeing him from his miserable life. That night when he was sleeping, Tatsumi saw his friends in a dream, and abruptly woke up to see Shield sleeping beside him, as it was her turn to be his supervisor for the day. When Shield woke up, her clumsy ass dropped her glasses, and she mistook Tatsumi for the wooden figurine on the table. Later, when Lubbock and Neigenda were having fruits for breakfast, he asked her if it was okay to put Shield in charge of Tatsumi because of her clumsiness. But Neigenda thought that the new recruit needed someone older to train him. At the same time, Tatsumi was practicing swimming in a suit of armor to build endurance, and complained about it, so Shield told him that it was an important part of the assassin training curriculum. Shield could give all her attention to Tatsumi to help him train, as she didn't have any job in the hideout because of her clumsiness. When she tried to cook, she burned herself, and ended up spending the whole month's budget when she went to buy supplies for the hideout. She also accidentally put Mina in the washer while doing laundry, so Neigenda didn't assign her any work in the hideout from that point. While trying to get up, she dropped her glasses again, and Tatsumi asked why she was working as an assassin when she couldn't do a single thing right. She grew up in the capital's industrial district, but was a pain in the ass for everyone around her because of her clumsiness, and people thought that she might have a screw loose in her already emptied brain. However, a young girl looked past her clumsiness and never made fun of her no matter what mistakes she made. She was the first friend that she'll ever had, and she loved spending every minute with her. But one day, her drunk ex barged into her house and started strangling her. Wasting no minute, Sheil sliced off the guy's neck, and as her friend was trembling with shock and fear, Sheil just stood there calmly and didn't feel a thing. That girl stopped meeting her after that incident, and a few days later, the friends of that guy killed Sheil's parents before focusing their attention on her. Even with her parents being killed and guys with swords surrounding her, she felt no emotion, and killed all of them one by one mercilessly. That tragedy made her realize that the loose screw she had in her mind made her an exceptional killer, so she had been living her life as an assassin since then. When she was done telling Tatsumi her story, Bullet came out of the river to flex his muscles, and they all went back to the hideout. Neigenda wanted Tatsumi to try out Zank's Imperial Relic, but the first thing his maidenless ass did was see the girls without their plot armor. He wanted to cherish that Imperial Relic his whole life, but when he suddenly lost all his strength, he realized that the relic wasn't compatible with him. Since he couldn't use it, Neigenda planned to send the relic to the Revolutionary Army, and Akame told Tatsumi that the second most important mission for the Night Raid members was to collect the Imperial relics. When Tatsumi asked about the strongest Imperial relic, Neigenda said that the ice relic that belonged to Esdeath had no rival. She was busy subjugating the northern race as a hero named Numa emerged from that place, and had never lost a battle. So fearing the huge amount of people that were on his side, the Imperial Kingdom sent their strongest soldier and general to deal with him. Since all kinds of relics existed, Tatsumi thought that there must be a relic that could resurrect the dead. But Bulat was quick to blow his bubble, and told him that no such thing existed. Hearing this, Tatsumi was filled with shock, as he had been fighting all this time with that hope in his mind. But Akame told him to abandon his fantasies if he wanted to make the world a better place. That night, he sat by himself at the end of a cliff, and knowing that he must be sad, Sheil went after him, and Tatsumi felt the touch of a woman for the first time in his life when she hugged him. Meanwhile, in the Northern Territory, all of the northern soldiers were frozen in ice, and their infamous leader Numa became Esdeath's personal shoe shiner. The next day, Leon took Tatsumi to the slums to show him the place where she grew up, but she owed money to a lot of people there, and those people came after her. While running from them, Tatsumi got separated from Leon, and his soul left his body when he realized that he didn't have a single clue about that place. However, an Imperial officer called Suryu found him, and had the Imperial relic Koro with her that could detect any evildoers. When Tatsumi told her that he didn't know his way around the slums, she grabbed his hand to show him directions, and Koro got angry since its master was holding someone's hand. When she took him back to the entrance of the slums, she instructed Tatsumi to stay safe, and ran away to catch the culprits, the Night Raid members. When she was a trainee, Ogre trained her in martial arts, and seeing the burning resolve she had inside of her, he offered to take her to a doctor who could modify her body, and she gladly obliged. Since her master was killed by the Night Raid, she vowed to find and kill each and every one of them. Reunited with Leon, the two went to the capital's red light district, and transforming into a lioness with her imperial arm, she hopped from roof to roof to get to a building where girls were drugged and forced to do things against their will. All the girls became too addicted to drugs, and when one of them couldn't get enough of them, her captive punched her, and Leon told Tatsumi that she had known that girl since she was a child. Infiltrating the building, Tatsumi ran and killed 2 guards with each slash of his sword before opening the guts of another one. Leon was surrounded by guards from all directions, and when they rushed at her, she dodged all of their strikes and put them down with her bare hands, killing all of them in an instant. One of their leaders tried to shoot Leon, but Tatsumi sliced him in half before he could do that, and she lifted the last guy in the air by grabbing his neck. She punched open a hole in the man's guts, and with their mission complete, the two went away, and Leon told Tatsumi to not worry about the girls, as a doctor would take care of them. Realizing that she had arranged all that, Tatsumi told her that she was a nice person at heart, but Leon wanted to show that she had a nasty side too, so she licked his ear.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
At the same time, Sheil and Mina were coming back after completing their job, but Suryu was waiting for them on their escape route, and stopped them. After confirming that they were members of the Night Raid, she advised them to get ready for their demise, as she was going to make them repent in the face of absolute justice. Since she knew about their identity, Mina offered her to come with them, as they would have to kill her otherwise. However, Suryu had no intention to run, since they killed the person who she called her master, and wanted to take revenge. When Mina fired at her, Koro turned from a cute little puppy into a horrifying abomination of the world, and absorbed her attacks. Suryu shot at them with her tonfa guns, and when Shiel and Mina stepped away to dodge the bullets, Koro lunged at them with a mouth that had 1,000 teeth in it. Shiel sliced its face, and thinking that it's dead, she started moving towards Suryu, but Koro regenerated itself completely in an instant. After Mina knocked it away with her pumpkin, she reminded Shiel that living relics like Koro had a core somewhere in their body, so unless they destroyed that, it would keep regenerating. Under Suryu's orders, Koro grew its arms and attacked the two with a flurry of punches. Shiel tried her best to hold it back by blocking its punches with her scissors, giving Mina a chance to jump in the air and blow him up. However, she failed to find its core, and Koro regenerated again. Taking advantage of the smoke from Mina's attack, Shiel closed in on Suryu, and blinding her using her scissors ability, she tried to chop her in half, but Suryu was able to block her attacks using the blades on her arm. When Koro was about to intervene, Mina shot at it to make it stay off Shiel, who managed to corner Suryu against a metal fence. She escaped into the forest, but while running from her, she tripped because of a stone on the ground, and Shiel was able to cut both of her arms. However, she had guns implanted in her arms, and thinking that Shiel was done for, she shot at her, but she blocked the bullets with her scissors and cut off her arms again. With no option left, she transformed Koro into Berserker mode, and it grabbed Mina with its arm. It started to crush all the bones inside her, and Shiel barely managed to cut off its arm before it squashed Mina. However, she got shot in the chest by a hidden weapon in Suryu's mouth, and Koro split her in half with its terrifying mouth. Crying for her comrade, Mina picked up her pumpkin with a broken arm and approached Suryu. But the Imperial police had arrived to support Suryu, and with no options, Shiel used the last bit of strength left inside her to blind everyone with her scissors to help Mina escape. She wanted to keep fighting Suryu, but Shiel told her to run away, and respecting her last wish, Mina ultimately decided to flee. Moments away from her death, the sweet memories of her time at the Night Raid played in Shiel's mind, and Koro was finally killed. While Koro chewed Shiel's corpse, Suryu looked like the happiest girl in the world despite having both of her arms cut off, as she finally managed to kill one of the Night Raid members, and laughed fanatically. Hearing about Shiel's demise, everyone was filled with grief, and Tatsumi asked Mina about who was the killer so he could take revenge. Neigenda tried to make him stop, as he would only join her in the afterlife if he rushed without a plan. But when he wouldn't stop with his yapping, Bullet punched him. He told him to stop trying to throw his useless life away, so Neigenda warned them that they would be engaging in fights with more relic wielders from now on, and everyone needed to prepare themselves for that. Meanwhile, General Esdeath had come back after decimating the Northern Army, and Honest thought that as long as she existed, no one could dare to challenge the Emperor's rule, and he could just rule the Imperial Kingdom from the shadows. The Emperor had awarded her a lot of coins, but when Esdeath told him that she wanted to hunt Night Raid with her minions, he couldn't decide about what prize to give her, and asked what she wanted. Esdeath wanted to experience love, so the Emperor suggested her to marry Honest, but she rejected, as Honest always had a high blood pressure, and could die at any moment. With his option out of the way, Esdeath told them that not a lot of men would be able to meet her strict requirements, and agreed to list all of them for the Emperor. Some days later, Mina still struggled to eat by herself because of her injuries, so Akame fed her herself. Tatsumi couldn't help but notice that Akame was unusually calm even after Shiel's death, and started to understand how painful being an assassin was. Meanwhile, to capture the Night Raid members, Esdeath ordered her 3 beasts a new task, and late at night, Tatsumi ran into Akame. She made Shiel's favorite dish in an attempt to honor her memory, and Tatsumi called her amazing for being so composed even after her friend's death. Unlike what he perceived, Akame was also devastated by Shiel's death, and grabbing Tatsumi, she told him that she could never get used to the pain of losing someone dear to her. But she didn't let that interfere with her missions. With tears raining down her face, her whole body was shaking because of grief, and Tatsumi punched himself for failing to figure out what she was going through. He apologized to Akame for what he said, and promised to stay alive, so they could usher in a new age where everyone could live in peace. The following day, he practiced with Akame, and after trading a few hits with her, he got smacked in his ribs. Akame told him to rest, but he didn't want to stop practicing, and asked her to treat the sparring as a real battle. However, when he approached her, Bullet smacked his face, saying that he should always be mindful of his surroundings in a real battle. Seeing his unshaken resolve to protect everyone, Bullet agreed to train the hell out of him, and started fighting him with a wooden pole. Seeing the two spar with each other made Akame happy, and at the same time, a government official and his daughter were attacked by the three beasts. The girl and more than a dozen guards rushed towards Deidara, but he chopped them all into pieces with a single strike, and gravely injured the girl. Liver introduced himself to the old man, and with no hesitation, he decapitated him. Afterward, they spread flyers with the Night Raid symbol engraved on them to make everyone believe that it was their doing. After Naya was done skinning the poor girl alive, they went away, and in the Night Raid's hideout, Negenda informed everyone that Esdeath had returned to the capital. She instructed Leon to observe her actions, and when she asked what kind of woman she was, Negenda told her that she was a sadist with a taste of carnage. Leon felt amused hearing that, as she thought that Esdeath was someone who she could fight with in full power. Ever since Esdeath came back, political officials had been turning up dead, and Night Raid flyers were found at every crime scene. At first glance, this attempt to frame the Night Raid was dumb, but the three beasts only attacked the official who had powerful guards with them that no ordinary assassin could kill. Because of that, the people would gladly believe that the Night Raid had killed them. Negenda suspected that the three beasts all had imperial relics of their own, and the fact that they were targeting the political figures who were in support of the revolutionary army made them a huge hindrance. However, they couldn't afford to lose any more of those politicians, so Negenda assigned Bulat and Tatsumi to protect a politician who was on board a huge cruise ship, while Lubbock and Akame were sent to a town far to the north. Dressed in a formal outfit, Tatsumi talked with Bulat on the ship while he was invisible, and thought that there was no way the politician would get assassinated amidst all those people. However, Bulat smacked him in the head, telling him not to underestimate their opponents. Tatsumi couldn't get enough of how cool Bulat's armor was, as they couldn't have boarded the ship without it. The armor was like a partner to him, but even with all the strength it provided, he couldn't save his general from being wrongfully thrown into the prison. The general refused to bribe Prime Minister Honest when he came in power, and because of that, he declared him a traitor, but the general believed that the authorities would understand him, as he had done nothing wrong. However, the authorities at the capital wouldn't even hear his case, and since Bulat was really close to the general, he was also declared a traitor, but he used his armor's ability to escape from them. With the invisibility of his armor about to run out, he had to remove the armor for some time, so Tatsumi told him to let him take care of the upper area. Meanwhile, in the capital, Esdeath gave a perfect chance to Leon to attack her, but every pore of her body was screaming that it was a trap because of the evil murderous aura around her. When she went away, Esdeath got disappointed, as she wanted him to take the bait, so she could capture and torture her. At the same time, Naya was playing a flute on the cruise ship, and it put everyone on the ship to sleep. Tatsumi struggled to even stand, and with everyone asleep, Deidara finally surfaced, and gave a sword to him, as he wanted to have a fair fight. Then sheathing the sword, Tatsumi jumped at him, and almost got killed by his attack. Splitting his axe in two, Deidara threw it towards Tatsumi, and it came back to him like a frisbee, slashing Tatsumi in the stomach on its way back. He tried to charge head-on toward Deidara, but Bulat yeeted him in the air, and called him a dumb moron for falling into the enemy's trap. Deidara was surprised Niao's music didn't affect Bulat, and realized that he injured his own leg to break free from its effect. When he equipped his armor, all members of the three beasts jumped at him at once, but he knocked Liver and Niao away in an instant, and managed to slice Deidara in half. He reminded Tatsumi of his lesson to always be mindful of his surroundings, and Tatsumi was shocked to see him bringing all of them down in a single second. Getting back on his feet, Liver greeted the macho man, and Bulat realized that he was his former master, who was imprisoned in the imperial capital. Like Bulat, Liver recognized him as well, and told him that he had become Esdeath's servant after she saved him. So Bulat felt bad, since if they were on the same side, he would have liked to share a drink with him. Using his imperial relic Black Marlin, Liver raised several water pillars in the air, and revealed that his relic allowed him to freely manipulate any liquid within his range. It was unlucky for Bulat to face him in that situation, as he couldn't create water out of thin air, so the ocean around them gave him a huge advantage. Using the water pillars, Liver launched a water cannon towards Bulat, but he blocked it by spinning his lance at an extremely high speed. Niao tried to support Liver by using his flute, but Tatsumi intervened by striking him in the air. He started overwhelming him with strikes, and when Tatsumi tried to counterattack, he jumped in the air and kicked him in the back. After getting up again, the two started trading blows with each other, and Tatsumi was able to match his speed since he was slower than Akame. At the same time, Liver had created a water serpent, and standing on top of it, he launched it toward Bulat. He went inside the serpent's mouth to split it in half, but Liver already knew that he would kill the serpent that way, as he didn't want anyone on the ship to be harmed. So while he was defenseless in the air, Liver hit him with a water cannon, and even though his armor broke from his face, Bulat told Liver that the attack was hardly enough to defeat him. Liver already knew that, since he spent a considerable amount of time with him, and summoned a horde of serpents to strike him while he was still in the air. But to his surprise, Bulat survived again, and launched himself toward Liver from the air. Seeing that he was about to get killed, Niao intervened, and Bulat smacked him away. Tatsumi had been defeated, and while he apologized for not being useful for him, Bulat's armor got dispelled because of the damage he received, and he told Tatsumi that surviving as long as he did was good enough for him. However, Bulat wasn't the only one who was at rope's end, since all the crazy shit Liver was doing had torn his body apart, and he was in no condition to use his relic. Still having brotherly feelings for him, Liver asked Bulat if he would be interested in joining Esdeath's army, but he had absolutely no desire to join the Empire ever again. Liver kept trying to force him, but Bulat's mission was to protect the citizens, and if he joined Esdeath's army under Honest's control, he wouldn't be able to do that anymore. Before their fighting began again, Liver enhanced his physical strength using a drug, and the two rushed at each other with swords in hand. They were attacking each other so fast that Tatsumi was in awe, and at first, they appeared to be evenly matched. But Bulat managed to break his sword and struck him with his sheer strength. However, Liver still had a trick up his sleeve, and used his own blood as little blades to attack Bulat. Bulat did his best to block all the blood blades with all he had, but some of them managed to pierce his body. Falling to the floor, Liver was shocked that Bulat was able to survive his attack that he charged with his very life force, and before dying, Liver wanted to tell Bulat the real reason he joined Esdeath's army. While he was still in prison, Esdeath approached him and wanted him to join her army, but Liver was a criminal and could never hope to join the army again. However, Esdeath could do anything, as it was her army that kept Prime Minister Honest in power, so Liver ended up accepting her proposal and started idolizing her. He existed solely to serve Esdeath, and by poisoning Bulat with the help of the drug he consumed earlier, he completed his mission. With Liver finally dead, Bulat started puking blood because of the poison, but he told Tatsumi that the fight wasn't over as Niao was still alive. He was walking towards them while playing his flute, and revealed that he could use the instrument to transform into Jay Cutler. Even when he wasn't using that power, Tatsumi still got his ass handed to him, so he wondered how he was going to fight him this time. Knowing that as well, Bulat offered the Incursio's key to Tatsumi, and Niao started laughing, as he knew that Incursio placed immense strain on its wielder. Since any normal person would die if he donned Incursio, Tatsumi felt unsure about what to do, so Bulat punched him in the face, and told him that he was more than qualified to use the relic. Even if that was the case, Tatsumi still had to be compatible with Incursio to use it, so Bulat told him that he was mesmerized to see Incursio for the first time, and because of that, he thought that Tatsumi could wield it. When he grabbed the key, Niao jumped toward Tatsumi, as he wanted to kill him before he ended himself, but he was able to summon the armor. It started to change form to suit Tatsumi's body, and Bulat revealed that Incursio was made by purifying the raw materials of the strongest monster in history, and it was still alive inside the key. With his transformation completed, Tatsumi felt immense power surging through him, and when Niao rushed at him, he did the same and their punches collided. However, Tatsumi's punch had far more firepower, and he managed to smack Niao against the ship so hard that his whole body got destroyed. With the last bit of strength he had inside of him, Bulat instructed Tatsumi to keep moving forward, and passed away. Tatsumi thanked Bulat for the guidance he gave him, and promising to do his best and become stronger, he dropped to the floor, and started crying hysterically. At the same time, Akame's sister Kurom was sitting on top of a mountain of corpses when a soldier appeared, and told her that she was summoned to the capital to become a part of Esdeath's new unit. A few days later, Mina was finally fully healed, and after taking a bath, she went to the training ground to ask someone to train with her. Tatsumi and Lubbock were training there already with Akame and Leon sitting on top of them, and Tatsumi revealed that he was pushing himself so hard because Incursio drained a considerable amount of strength. Lubbock was training hard because there were only 2 guys in the squad, and if there was any chance for his bitch-less ass to get laid, it would be now. When Leon made fun of him by saying that he did less than half push-ups compared to Tatsumi, Akame told her that it was because of the difference in their weight, and Leon smacked her in the head for being so straightforward. Meeting with them, Negenda revealed that she would be going to the Revolutionary Army headquarters to give them the 3 Imperial relics they recovered from the 3 beasts. She left Akame in charge and told everyone that she also planned to get some reinforcements, so their fighting power would increase again. When Tatsumi apologized for being useless, she told him that he had defeated 3 beasts, who were considered to be one of the capital's strongest, and since Esdeath's army was dealt a severe blow, he did a good job. All of the passengers of that ship remained safe, and the fact that the 3 beasts were dead would save thousands of Revolutionary Army soldiers when they would infiltrate the capital. Leon didn't want to inflate his ego, but told him that Bulette once mentioned how strong Tatsumi was, and thought that he would easily surpass him one day. All of this cheered him a bit, and before leaving, Negenda advised Tatsumi to become the man Bulette wanted him to be. Meanwhile, Esdeath visited the graves of her dead subordinates, and although she thought that they died because they weren't strong enough, she still wanted to avenge them, and was forming a new squad to do that. Wave, a man from a fishing village far away from the capital, was a part of that unit, and when he went to the capital, everyone felt disgusted seeing him because he came from the countryside. Going to the royal castle, he was excited to see his new comrades, but when he saw Balls sitting there by himself, he got scared because of his scary mask, and sat far away from him. Balls kept looking at him, and he felt so scared that his whole body was shivering. When Kurome came into the room, he thought that he finally had a normal ally, but when he saw how obsessed she was with her snacks, he realized that she wasn't normal by any means. So you and Dr. Stylish joined everyone in the room afterward, and Wave's soul left his body because of the gay aura around Stylish. After the final member joined, Balls gave tea to everyone, and apologized to them for not speaking earlier, saying that he was extremely shy, so it was hard for him to speak. When Esdeath came, she was wearing a mask, and immediately kicked Wave, as she was trying to gauge everyone's battle prowess. She commended Run's reflexes, and after she slammed Suryu on the ground, Kurome was able to slice off her mask, and everyone realized that it was Esdeath underneath it. She named her new unit Jaegers, as she was a fan of Attack on Titan, and while Wave and Balls made food for everyone, Suryu asked Esdeath what she liked to do in her free time. She enjoyed torturing and stepping on people with her high-heeled shoes, but currently, she was interested in falling in love. The following morning, Tatsumi met with Lubbock to go to their secret hideout inside the capital, and saw Leon there. Only those 3 could move around the capital freely, as everyone else had their wanted posters spread around the capital. Tatsumi was informed about Esdeath's new unit, and when he asked what made her so fearsome, Lubbock told him a story from a few years ago. A tribe from the southwest rebelled against the capital, and the Empire sent 120,000 soldiers to fight against the 10,000 rebels. But the land was harsh, and the soldiers who lived an easy life in the capital were butchered by the rebels. Feeling pressured, the capital dispatched Negenda and Esdeath as reinforcement, but a huge river stopped them from approaching the rebels. So Esdeath created a path for everyone by freezing the literal f***ing river, and brutally murdered everyone. However, she deliberately spared some people, so they could rebel against the capital once more, and she would get to relish in butchering them again. Learning that even Leon got scared by her, he wondered how monstrous she was, so Lubbock suggested him to go the martial arts tournament that Esdeath was sponsoring. When that tournament started, the fighters gave their all to win the big cash prize, but Esdeath felt bored to death, as they were all dull fighters to her. In the final of that tournament, Tatsumi was paired against a monster human bull, and when the fight started, he tried to crush Tatsumi with his fist, but Tatsumi jumped in the air and pushed him back with a kick. The 2 started trading blows with each other, until Tatsumi managed to destroy all his organs by punching his body. However, the bull still had strength left inside of him, so Tatsumi made him lose his balance before kicking him in the face to end the fight. Run mentioned that he was extremely talented, while on the other hand, Esdeath completely fell for him after seeing his smile. Entering the ring, she commended Tatsumi's effort, and as a reward, she made him her slave by putting a collar on his neck. When he resisted, she knocked him out with a good old chop on the neck, and Lubbock and Leon informed everyone that he was abducted. Akame wanted to immediately go and rescue him, but when Mina told her that it would be foolish to do so, she agreed to make a proper plan first. That night, Esdeath took Tatsumi to attack a castle, as he was a backup member of the Jaegers, and wanted him to observe them fighting. Tatsumi immediately wanted to run back to his friends, but Esdeath was holding his hand, and he thought that he was stuck with her forever. When the Jaegers encountered the rebels at the castle, Tsuyu used Koro to equip a drill on her metal arm and turned them into minced meat. Afterward, she equipped a big-ass cannon to open the gates of the castle with a bang, and Stylish rejoiced in seeing Tsuyu using his work so beautifully. Kurome assassinated the soldiers who were present at the gate, and Wave killed another one, who was about to shoot Kurome. Balls incinerated the rest of the soldiers that remained in the castle with his flamethrower, and Run took care of the ones who were trying to escape. Before long, they managed to capture the castle, and seeing Tatsumi surprised by the Jaeger's power, Esdeath offered to train him herself. She was surprisingly kind towards him because it was her first time experiencing feelings of love, and that made Tatsumi wonder if he could convince her to join them and devote herself to overthrowing the empire. Later in the castle, Tatsumi sat on her bed wondering how he got himself in that situation. While Esdeath was taking a shower, he wanted to take the lead, but when Esdeath appeared with barely any plot coverage around her, his ED was cured and he lost all sense of himself. Esdeath didn't know how things proceed past this point, and offered Tatsumi to do whatever he wanted to her, but the dumbass moron wasted the opportunity. He asked her if she truly liked him, and as her answer, she kissed him, and told him that she wouldn't have done that for anyone else in the world. Tatsumi told her that he hated the empire as it was now, so he was considering joining the Revolutionary Army, and wanted her to fight alongside him to free the empire from corruption. As he awaited her answer, she bitch-slapped him, and when Tatsumi told her that he didn't want to end up as her enemy, she licked his face. She told him that he didn't need to worry about anything, as all he had to do was stay with her, and she would protect him from everyone. However, Tatsumi refused to do so, as he wanted to create a world where everyone could spend their lives without a worry, and that could never happen until the corrupt capital would be overthrown. Unlike him, Esdeath didn't care about the weak, as she believed in survival of the fittest, so Tatsumi told her that he could never love someone like that, and begged her to change her principles if she truly loved him. Esdeath loved how cute he looked when he was angry, but she refused to be changed by him, and said that she would make Tatsumi take after her instead. He refused to do that even if she would torture him, and seeing how stubborn he was, Esdeath's love for him grew even more, and she wondered what she had to do to make him fall in love with her. For the time being, she changed the topic, and said that she wanted to rest, so Tatsumi went towards the sofa, but she pulled her meat provider back, so he excused himself, saying that he wanted to take a shower, and Esdeath warned him to not try to escape, as it would mean his death. The following morning, she introduced Tatsumi to everyone properly, and when Balls proudly told everyone about his happy marriage, Esdeath asked him for some advice to capture Tatsumi's heart. So he advised her to be persistent, as he himself got rejected 2 times before his wife accepted his proposal, and she wrote all that in her diary. For the next few days, Tatsumi struggled to even sleep, as Esdeath would hug him like a body pillow every night. When he saw Kurome, he was shocked by how closely she resembled Akame, and her obsession with food made it even more evident, so he told her that she looked a lot like her. Kurome revealed that she was Akame's younger sister, and wanted to see her again, so she could kill her for betraying her and the Empire. Arriving at the conference room, Esdeath instructed everyone to get ready to hunt some monsters for a few days, and Tatsumi thought that it was the perfect chance for him to escape. As per Esdeath's instructions, Wave accompanied Tatsumi, and knowing how tough his life was currently, he offered to talk with him whenever he wanted. As they were talking about how similar their problems were, Tatsumi unsheathed his sword, and saved Wave from a monster that was about to ambush him. Together, they defeated a horde of tree-like monsters, and after they were done, Tatsumi escaped using Incursio. Thinking about what Esdeath would do to him if he didn't recover Tatsumi, Wave equipped Grand Chariot. It was an armor similar to Incursio, and when he managed to catch up to Tatsumi, he revealed that Incursio was a prototype made for his Grand Chariot. However, he didn't know that it was Tatsumi underneath that armor, as it belonged to a member of the Night Raid. Instead of fighting with him, Tatsumi tried to escape, but Wave stopped him, and slammed him against a rock wall with a fist to his chest. Tatsumi felt inclined to fight back, but he didn't want to let his feelings control him, and tried escaping again. Flying in the air, Wave slammed him back to the ground in a river with a kick, but when he didn't resurface, he thought that he rode the current and swam away. So he followed the river, unbeknownst to the fact that Tatsumi went invisible and was still at the same place. However, Tatsumi was too injured to move anymore, as Wave's kick was too powerful, and struggled to get up when an S-rank monster appeared before him. but Akame sliced the monster's face in half, and Tatsumi apologized to her for making everyone work so hard to rescue him, so she smacked him in the head, saying that it was the least they could do for him. Lubbock began carrying both of them away from danger, and Wave was punished by Esdeath for letting Tatsumi escape, and for failing to capture the Night Raid member. She warned him to not fail again, as the next time, she would take him to her torture chamber to personally torture the living fuck out of him. With Tatsumi gone, Run asked Esdeath what she wanted them to do if he resurfaced as an enemy, so she told him that capturing him alive would be a priority, but they could kill him if that wasn't a possibility. Getting back to the hideout, Tatsumi informed everyone about what he learned about the Jaegers and Esdeath, and asked Akame why she didn't escape the capital with her sister. She had asked Kurome to come with her, but she was so faithful to the Imperial Kingdom that she declared her sister as a traitor, and wanted to kill her. When Mina asked about how strong they were, Tatsumi revealed that the Jaegers were individually as strong as them, but Esdeath was on a different level. However, Akame didn't want anyone to worry about her, as all she needed to do was slash her once with her cursed katana, and she would cease to exist. At the same time, Dr. Stylish followed Tatsumi's scent, and managed to locate the Night Raid's hideout. Everyone except Leon was knocked out cold after celebrating Tatsumi's return the whole night, and she went to a pond outside to splash some water on her face. But a man called Truma assassinated her, and Mimi passed out the information to Stylish using her big ass ears. When attackers showed up at the hideout, Lubbock ran to inform everyone, but an enemy dressed in the most disgusting clothes stopped him. Lubbock strangled him using his crosstail, but the man wasn't a normal human, and twisted his neck himself to strike him. However, he was able to block his attack by wrapping his body in wires, and when the enemy approached him again, he turned his wire into a spear and skewered his heart. As if one cross-dressed femboy wasn't enough, a whole army of them came for Lubbock, and he ran while being scared to shit. Akame came to protect him, and in the blink of an eye, she slashed all of the enemies into little pieces, and Toby appeared to fight her personally. Using a wall to jump towards her, he tried to slice Akame with blades that were attached to his whole body, and when Lubbock tried to assist her, two scary-looking dudes stopped him. Meanwhile, Tatsumi battled the enemy outside the hideout, and Kaku appeared before him with Shiel's Imperial arm in his possession. Tatsumi approached him in sheer anger and struck him with his sword, but Kaku destroyed it, and managed to injure his arm using the scissors. Dr. Stylish knew about the Night Raid members already, so he sent people that would be a good matchup for each of them. But he had lost a lot of foot soldiers. However, he didn't care about them, as he had plenty of soldiers to spare back in his secret lab. Approaching Kaku, Tatsumi demanded him to hand over Shiel's relic, but he pushed him back, and Mina scolded him for being sloppy as always. Kaku jumped in the air to cut her into pieces, thinking that a mere gun wouldn't harm him, but Mina evaporated him out of existence using her pumpkin, and retrieved Shiel's Imperial relic. As she was holding it in her arms, tears ran down her face, and Mimi informed Stylish that Kaku and most of their foot soldiers were wiped out. Suddenly, she sensed someone approaching from above, and it was Negenda, who was riding a monster with two new allies. Meanwhile, inside the hideout, Akame managed to cut Toby's arm, but the curse didn't have any effect on him, since his body was made out of metal. Using a sword hidden in his arm, he attacked Akame, and tried to blow her brains out with a gun inside his mouth, but she was able to cut two more of his limbs while dodging his attacks, and Lubbock pierced him with a spear. Knowing that he was about to be killed, he asked Akame why he was inferior to her, so she told him that his metal body made him careless, and decapitated him. As Tatsumi and Mina were looking at Negenda, Truma tried to assassinate the midget, but Leon kicked him in the face at the last second. While she was strangling him to death, Truma used a blade hidden in his boots to attack Leon, but she caught it with her teeth, and finished him off by smashing him to the ground. All the members of the Night Raid got back together, but they were surrounded by the femboys again, and everyone except Tatsumi fell to the ground because of some poison in the air. However, Susanoo came to protect them, and after making a cool entrance, he killed all the femboys with his mace-like weapon that had rotating blades in it. With all of his foot soldiers dead, Stylish exploded them, and Susanoo was almost destroyed. However, he was a living Imperial relic, and after regenerating, he fixed Mina's hair because he had OCD. After finding out where Stylish and his lackeys were, Negenda ordered Susanoo to eliminate them, and the doctor ran for his life. However, he stopped him in his tracks, and knowing that his dumb lackeys wouldn't be able to eliminate him, Stylish injected himself with the extract of an S-rank monster. Transforming into an abomination, He ate his servants for nourishment, and leveled up even more to get bigger than before. Susanoo attacked him, but Stylish blocked his attack with his metal arm and punched him away. Tatsumi was about to go help him out, but Akame told him to carry her to the mad doctor. While he was trying to crush Susanoo, the other two appeared before him, and he tried to slam them to the ground, but Tatsumi flew in the air to dodge his attack. Akame tried attacking him, but she couldn't slash her through his metal-like skin, and as he was about to smack them, Mina knocked him to the ground using her pumpkin. Tatsumi ran on his body with Akame, and Stylish tried to stop them, but Susanoo blocked his attack, and Tatsumi hurled Akame to his real body, allowing her to slash his chest. As the curse from her katana began taking effect, Stylish died in a matter of seconds, and everyone seemed happy as there were no casualties. With the doctor defeated, everyone rode Nagenda's tamed monster, and they met their new member named Chelsea. Nagenda took all of them to the Marg Highlands, an area inhabited by monsters, and it was the perfect place for hiding, as no humans lived there. Chelsea introduced herself to everyone, and after she gave Akame something to suck on, she immediately became her favorite subordinate. However, Tatsumi thought that Chelsea didn't look like an assassin at all, so Nagenda revealed that she was extremely talented, and had almost the same confirmed kills as Akame. On the other hand, Susanoo was Nagenda's imperial relic given to her by the Revolutionary Army, and could do everything she would tell him to. When Tatsumi tried to greet him, his OCD kicked in, seeing his shirt sticking out of his sweater, so he immediately fixed it. Since he could do anything, Susanoo created a literal f***ing house in a matter of minutes, and after cleaning everyone's clothes, he even made food for them. Tatsumi was happy that he got two dependable comrades, but he didn't know that his older allies would never get along with them. Chelsea was making fun of Mina's flatter than a surfboard body, and Lubbock was trying to prove himself better than Susanoo. At the same time, Run informed Esdeath that he had searched Dr. Stylish residence, but he couldn't find any clue about his whereabouts, and all of his experiments and equipment were still there. Realizing that he didn't run away, Esdeath thought that he must have been killed by the enemies, and felt bad for Suryu. Although she acted like she was alright, Suryu couldn't control the feelings bundled up inside of her. So when she started crying, Esdeath embraced her. She vowed to grant her wish of slaying all the Night Raid members, and as Wave was on his way to cheer her up, he saw the two girls hugging each other and thought that it was best not to intervene. At the Night Raid's hideout, Nagenda informed the others that the Empire was strengthening its forces, so they needed to train to become strong for the day of the revolution. The following morning, Susanoo caught a big-ass fish, and after all of them ate it, Tatsumi asked Nagenda why the Revolutionary Army would let such a useful relic go. So she revealed that Susanoo was dormant for decades, and only activated when she got near to him. Meanwhile, Mina was eating cake while talking with Lubbock, and when a cat appeared, she offered some of the cake to it. But it turned out to be Chelsea who used her imperial relic to steal it from her. The next morning, Tatsumi and Leon battled dinosaur-like monsters that got near to their hideout. When he summoned Violette's lance to split two of them in half, Leon got surprised, as he was growing stronger with each day. She took a bunch of monsters down with her overwhelming physical strength, but when they wouldn't stop coming, she decided to search for their leader. Upon finding it, she jumped towards it and slammed it against a cliff with her punch. The monster spat acidic saliva on her, but she dodged it and smacked the monster on the ground, killing it in that instant. With all the other members back after defeating monsters, Nagenda praised them for leveling up their strength. When she asked Chelsea about her opinion, she said that they were strong, but she thought their compassion for each other would eventually lead to their death. Pissed by her comments, Mina wanted to teach her a lesson, and included Tatsumi and Lubbock in her plans. They decided to put a bucket on her head while she would be taking a shower using Incursio's invisibility. But when Tatsumi went to the hot spring, he saw Susanoo there instead of her. He could sense Tatsumi even though he was invisible, and told him that strong people could sense his presence when he moved, so invisibility wouldn't work against them. Suddenly, Susanoo transformed into Chelsea, and realizing that it was her all this time, Tatsumi apologized to her, and thanked her for telling him about the invisibility's flaw. Since it was his first time, Chelsea decided to let him go, but warned him that if he ever decided to peek at her again, she would cut off his baby-making machine. Some days later, in a mining cave, a bunch of humanoid monsters appeared and ate all the people there before going to a house in the woods and murdering a couple there. Hearing about the news of that incident, Prime Minister Honest met Esdeath and asked her to eradicate those humanoid monsters that have appeared around the capital. Since their biology was similar to humans, he also wanted her to capture some of the monsters, as he wanted to experiment on them. Esdeath gladly accepted his request, and when a pair of merchants were attacked by those monsters, Balls protected them. When he burned 2 of the monsters to crisp, the rest of them ran. But instead of thanking Balls, the merchants got scared of him even more than the monsters. Seeing Suryu, their demeanor changed, and Wave thought that Balls must have felt bad, but he was actually just happy to see them calm down. Meanwhile, the rest of the monsters who were running were trapped in Esdeath's ice, and looking at them, Kurom felt hungry. But Esdeath told her that the monsters weren't for eating. Afterward, Balls made tea for his subordinates, and Wave mentioned that he was angry seeing the merchants judge Balls based on how he looked, as he knew that he was a nice guy. However, Balls considered himself far from a nice person, as he had raised entire villages in the past to stop a plague from spreading, and had executed innocent people because of the Empire's orders. So he believed that he deserved all the hate he received, and thought of it as karma for the atrocities he had committed. As they continued talking, Balls' wife and child came to give him lunch, as he forgot to bring it to work. And seeing them happy together, Wave was shocked to oblivion. Meanwhile, Tatsumi was practicing with Susanoo under a waterfall, and when he destroyed a huge rock with a punch, Susanoo advised him to not use his strength blindly, to demonstrate what he was trying to say. He destroyed another huge rock with barely any effort, and told Tatsumi that no matter how sturdy something is, it always had a weak point. As they were having a bro moment with each other afterward, Akame came and told them to come for emergency summons. Monsters had appeared around the capital, so Negenda ordered everyone to eliminate all the monsters on their way to their new hideout. After reaching there, Lubbock set up a detection perimeter around their whole base, and Negenda informed everyone that the monsters acted in packs and possessed intelligence. The Jaegers and the Empire were also trying to take down the monsters, but their number didn't seem to be dropping, and there were a lot of casualties. It meant that they would work towards the same goal as the Jaegers, but Tatsumi didn't care as long as they were saving people. When he was done talking, everyone was extremely impressed by his speech, but it all went down the drain when Susanoo suddenly went serious for a second, and informed him that his fly was open. Everyone laughed at Tatsumi, and Akame apologized to him as she had noticed it earlier, but thought that it was a fashion statement. At the Imperial Castle, Esdeath told Run that according to Honest's finding, the monsters were once humans, and they must have been created by a relic wielder. Run initially thought that the monsters might be Dr. Stylish's experiments, however, they didn't encounter any trace of it. Even so, there was a possibility that he was killed by the very same monsters when his experiments on them failed, but it would mean that there was a limited number of them. The question that now remained was whether someone set them free or they left on their own, so Run immediately decided to investigate it. Before going, he praised Esdeath for acting like a normal person once, as she was admiring flowers, but she told him that she just used the flowers to cause immense pain to the people she would torture. In the middle of a forest, Suryu used a wrecking ball to kill a lot of monsters in an instant. While Koro devoured the rest, a mysterious person was observing her fighting, and thinking that the Jaegers were quite strong, he planned to let them play more with their creations. That night, Tatsumi and Lubbock wandered around the mountains in search of those monsters, and Tatsumi asked why he called their boss by their name, so Lubbock revealed that he had known her since he was in the Imperial Army. He was a spoiled kid of a wealthy merchant living on the outskirts of the capital, and could have anything he wanted in life, but it made his life boring. However, when he saw Negenda for the first time, he immediately fell in love with her at first sight, and decided to enlist as a soldier to work his way up to the ranks to get closer to her. He even joined the night raid because of her, and before he left the capital, he made sure that all his records showed he was dead. But even after he did all that, he was never rewarded. Tatsumi told him that it was karma for trying to peek on girls all the time, and offered to treat him to anything if his bitch-less ass would get with Negenda. After searching for some time, they couldn't find any monsters, so Tatsumi decided to go on top of a mountain to get a better view. When he saw that there were no monsters, he unequipped Incursio, and at the same time, Esdeath was moving towards him and saw a man on top of a cliff. With no hesitation, she dropped on the mountain with the intention of killing whoever it was, but when the dust cleared, she realized that it was Tatsumi. Suddenly, a lot of strong monsters approached them, but Esdeath sliced them all into pieces with a single strike and stepped on them to assert dominance. Esdeath wasted no second to embrace Tatsumi, and telling him that she was there to hunt the monsters who were terrorizing the capital, she asked what he was doing on top of a mountain. Before he answered, he asked her to let him go, as it was hard to think with two fluffy cushions around his head, but she refused to do so. So he escaped himself, and told her that he was hunting monsters to train himself. When Esdeath asked if he had joined the Revolutionary Army, He replied that he didn't, but he didn't intend to change his mind of joining it eventually. Checking his whole body, Esdeath could tell that he had grown a lot of muscles and was stronger than before, so she patted him on the head to praise him. The danger beasts were all wiped out, and Esdeath thought that she owed them as they led her to him. Suddenly, she detected someone's presence, so she told the man to come forth from hiding. When he did, Esdeath planned to capture and take him to her torture chambers, but the mysterious man used a large teleportation spell to send them to a deserted island in the middle of the ocean. Not being able to believe what just happened, he asked Esdeath to inflict a little pain on him to make sure that it wasn't a dream, but she kissed him instead. She told him that it wasn't a dream, as the feel of the environment and her own instincts were telling her that it was real. They were teleported by the imperial relic of that mysterious person, and when he asked if it was really possible, Esdeath replied that some imperial relics had the ability to manipulate time and space, creating a towering ice pillar. She tried to check if it was just an ocean all around them, and thought that this was the perfect date for the two of them. As she was hugging him, a huge monster similar to Dr. Stylish appeared and ran at them, so Esdeath created 1,000 ice spikes and pierced the monster with it. However, he was still able to get up, so she created a huge ice spear to attack the monster, but it grabbed it with his hand. So Tatsumi ran towards the monster by running across the ice pillar and pierced the monster's real body. Esdeath felt sad, as she wanted to charm him with her powers, but ended up getting charmed by him instead. So when another monster appeared, she rushed toward it, and creating a literal ice moon, she crushed the monster underneath it. Seeing her overwhelming strength, Tatsumi wondered how Akame was going to kill her. Afterward, Esdeath created some sketches of the two of them together, and they both goofed around the island fighting monsters and gathered supplies. After exploring for a whole day, the two rested when the night came, and Esdeath appeared to be happy spending so much time with Tatsumi alone. During their time there, she was able to figure out that this island was to the far southeast of the capital. So since there was no way of them going back to the capital right now, Esdeath asked Tatsumi if he wanted to develop plot with her. However, Tatsumi felt scared, and Esdeath mentioned that she already knew about how to get off this island. But she wanted Tatsumi to do his best job as well. Going to the point they were teleported to, they saw that the teleportation marker was still there, and just needed to wait, as it would eventually activate again. Using the free time they had until then, Esdeath wanted to get to know him better and asked where he learned his swordsmanship. To him, Esdeath seemed like she could do anything, but there were a lot of things she couldn't do, and Tatsumi thought that it was the perfect chance to get information from her. After Tatsumi told her about his past, she decided to do the same, and told him that she was of the race of people who hunted monsters. She was the chief's daughter, and since she was a little child, she helped her father take down the monsters who posed a threat against their village. The villagers would extract valuable materials for the beast to make a living, and Esdeath's father told her to continue to get strong, as the weak only existed to get trampled by the strong. She enjoyed living in her remote village, and thought that it was really fun to be brought up by that environment, as it was survival of the fittest between them and the monsters. One day after she came back after hunting an S-ranked beast, she saw her whole village razed to the ground by the northern forces. A man told her that her father put a valiant effort by defeating a bunch of them, but he eventually got overwhelmed. As his final words, he advised her to continue to get stronger, as they were only killed because they were weak. For some time, she hunted monsters on her own. But when the prey became scarce, she decided to join the military in the capital, and it was simply a matter of shifting from killing monsters to killing humans. Hearing her story, Tatsumi thought that she had attacked the northern race for what they did to her village, but to Esdeath, they were simply adversaries, who were a threat to the capital. She did grieve her father, but in the end, she thought that he died because he was weak. When she became a general in the Imperial Army, it was time for her to select an Imperial relic for herself, and she discovered that an Imperial relic made from the Demon King's extract existed there. However, everyone who had tried to drink it had gone insane, so Honest thought that it wasn't worth the risk. But Esdeath was compelled to try it, and drank all of the extract. When the extract reacted with her body, she heard voices telling her to destroy and kill everything, and she realized why the previous people were driven to insanity. But she was already a sadistic maniac, so it didn't have much of an effect on her, and she was able to fully become one with the power of the Demon King. When Tatsumi asked her if she developed a taste of torture because of the Demon King's extract, she replied that she was already into it way before that, making him think that he could never convince her to join them. Esdeath planned to escape the island to ride on some monster's back, so when she saw a flying monster, she ran for it, but the teleporter opened at the same time. Tatsumi thought about leaving by himself, but he decided to return the favor and told Esdith about it. However, when she teleported on top of the mountain, she couldn't see Tatsumi anywhere, as he was sitting invisible without moving a muscle.
Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.